The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Sort of like a team. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and big news, we just got the new lineup of the Avengers. So we're going to explain the new lineup and everything we just learned about Doomsday and Secret Wars, and a little later, I'm going to argue with Randolf McClarty and Colton Ogburn about this. But for now, let's all just take a moment and remember how we got here.
Hey, person, you're looking kind of rough today.
Yeah, I know, I didn't have time to shave, but I do have to remind you guys that we are now on all of your favorite podcast platforms. So, a little background. You guys know that for years, we used to steadily get a new Avengers movie every 3 years that culminated each of Marvel's phases. The movies would introduce new heroes, and then the Avengers films would give us these highly satisfying crossover movies. But after Avengers Endgame, Marvel pumped the brakes on Avengers movies. It seemed like their strategy was quantity over everything else. So they introduced more heroes than ever before. But this accelerated schedule meant that we did not get to see these heroes return in sequels or meet each other. It's been almost 4 years since Shang-Chi appeared in a film. In the old MCU, he would have had 2 movies and at least 1 Avengers appearance by now. Now, obviously, this strategy did not work out for Marvel. Plus, their big bad King the Conqueror was defeated by ants, and then the actor was convicted of assault. You know, I personally like Quantumania, but I know that I'm in... Okay, all right, settle down. Like I said, I like the movie, but after it underperformed and after Secret Invasion and the Marvels, Marvel has been practically drenched in flop sweat. So Kevin Feige turned back to what worked. They rehired directors Joe and Anthony Russo to direct the next 2 Avengers movies, with Stephen McFeely returning to screenwrite a Marvel film, his first since Avengers Endgame. And then at Comic-Con, you remember, multiple Dooms took the stage. We were finally going to get Dr. Doom in the MCU, but who would play him? No, I'm kidding. Fans actually did cheer at Comic-Con, but at our live show tour, we always ask the crowd what they think of Downey Doom, and no one ever seems to be hyped about it.
I mean, yeah, seems kind of desperate to me.
Well, yeah, I thought the same thing. Plus, there's this whole confusing question. Is he a version of Tony Stark from another universe, or is Robert Downey Jr. just playing Dr. Doom? And a few days ago, the Russos confirmed that he was indeed a variant of Tony Stark, leading to our own Colton Ogburn to do this.
I was right!
I personally hate the idea of Downey Doom. I just want to see the actual Dr. Doom and not have this cinematic universe yet again revolve around one character.
But I digress.
But I am incredibly hyped to finally get a team-up movie of these heroes. This is what the MCU was built for. Getting to see people from different franchises, different genres interact together. I still think of that first shot showing Iron Man and Captain America standing together. That shot broke my brain. It was so cool. And now, Marvel is finally getting a band back together.
Person, seriously, you really need to trim up your beard today.
All right, why?
Because the owners are coming today.
Wait, the store has owners and they're coming here? We're gonna see them at the end of the video?
Yes.
Okay, well, I gotta get rid of this neck beard, but good thing I have this Handyman Pro and the new special edition Rocket Man collarway from Manscaped, the brand trusted by more than 11 million men worldwide for their trimmers, hygiene and shower formulations, and premium boxers. Guys, after I spend days on end neglecting my personal care, I need a shaving tool that is sleek and powerful and fits right in my pocket. Notice the magnetic blade keeps these blades locked in place, which makes it perfect for traveling. The Handyman has a unique dual blade, including a standard foil shaver and a long hair trimming blade that can take down up to 3 days of beard growth, or in my case, up to 4 years of beard growth.
It's a lie!
The Handyman is also equipped with proprietary skin-safe technology designed to help reduce nicks and cuts. And guess what? The Handyman is waterproof, which can help make cleanup quick and easy. So gentlemen, tidy up that face fuzz to impress your boss, your friends, or your girlfriend that lives in Canada. The Handyman is a terrific compact shaver, and trust me, it is the perfect accessory for any man's travel bag.
It's called a satchel.
Or what's the next step?
Well, if you use my promo code ScreenCrush, you'll get 20% off plus free international shipping. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code ScreenCrush at manscaped.com.
Person, that's much better. You look great.
Thanks. Now, back to what I was saying, and later in the video, maybe we'll get that visit from the store's owners. Okay, so let's break down this announcement, and then I'm going to talk to Colton and Brianna because honestly, I am so excited right now. I have a lot of theories I want to throw out there, and we want to talk about some of the people who were not included on this list, like the 3 Spider-Men. So we start as an out-of-focus figure drops off a chair for Chris Hemsworth, as there is like this ominous sound rising. And then, after about 12 minutes on the nose, we hear a studio bell, and then the camera dollies back to reveal a chair for Vanessa Kirby, you know, Sue Storm. And this proceeded for literally our entire day until we finally got the full cast, with each name accompanied by their own theme music played through a diegetic speaker on set. We have Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Ant-Man in a small chair, U.S. Agent, Namor, The Thing, Shang-Chi, Yelena Belova, Kelsey Grammer's Beast. In fact, remember, our Beast shirt is now for sale at our merch store. Glad that's relevant again. Then we have The Sentry, The Falcon, that was a surprise, Human Torch, Red Guardian, M'Baku, Ghost, Loki, cannot wait to talk about that with the team in just a minute. Then the X-Men animated series theme plays, and Patrick Stewart's chair enters the chat, followed by Magneto, original version, followed by Nightcrawler from the best X-Men movie, X2, along with original Mystique, Cyclops, and of course, Channing Tatum's Gambit.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And then we got Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, who apparently is getting second billing to, finally, Robert Downey Jr. introduced with the Avengers theme. But the Avengers theme morphed into what we think is the brand new theme for Doctor Doom. It takes the leitmotif of the Avengers and makes it darker. It is honestly badass. It is the exact theme I would want for Doom. The doors open, Robert Downey Jr. enters and then shushes us not to spoil anything that we see on set as we get the theme swelling over this title card. But now I am so happy to be joined by Colton Ogburn, who is trapped in our television but doesn't know it, so please don't tell him, and Brianna McLarty, the ghost who haunts the corner of the video store. Guys, okay, we've been watching this together all day long, checking in on it. We hit points where we were excited, then we were frustrated. Colton, you were tweeting how, I was tweeting how you might want to pick up the pace, all that stuff, right? We were getting very annoyed. For myself, though, at the end, right, I knew Robert Downey Jr. would be the last. I was hyped that Pedro Pascal was second billing, which means Reed Richards is going to be important. But man, when that Avengers theme hit and we got that sweet new Doctor Doom theme and then the score, the swell of the score, I was literally hopping around the store like this. Like, I felt like a kid listening to that. And it is so hard for me to get hyped when I'm doing this all day and I'm working and it's getting frustrated. So, Brianna, where's your enthusiasm level right now? Where are you at with this?
Honestly, I'm pretty hyped, and this is as someone who has not been super hyped for this movie. Like, I've had a lot of reservations about this movie, but honestly, having, as frustrating as it was for this job, having that long live stream, I had it on my laptop, and I was writing a script, and then I would just hear the music, and every single time I heard the music, I was like, oh, it's time, there's another one, and it worked for me. And I was thinking if I was in a normal job, this would be perfect. And even in this job, it made my day fun. I was thinking about the movie all day, and it just made me feel like it was an experience again. It wasn't just more Marvel for us to watch. This is going to be an experience movie, and I have missed that feeling with Marvel.
Well, it's great marketing, too. I mean, it's like the BuzzFeed watermelon. You know, it's old school kind of internet. When Game of Thrones did their announcement, they melted ice, you know, for the premiere date. Yeah, Colton, what about you? Where's your hype level sitting at now?
Well, I mean, I've been excited for this movie. I've thought that if Marvel and Feige were going to get anything right, it would be the Avengers movie. So I've been excited for it. I know you two don't really care for the RDJ Doctor Doom thing. I'm personally here for it.
Hate it.
Yeah,
Brianna makes a great point that if I were sitting at just my previous job as a security guard at a candy factory and just have this live stream on in the background, checking in. Yeah, I think I'd have fun with it. So from a marketing standpoint, that probably was a good idea. Now that I have this job, I just found myself incredibly frustrated because I also was trying to write, but I kept getting just focused in on that and staring at it, and I'm trying to plan, okay, what video are we going to do? And then another name would come in and it would change it, especially when the X-Men names started coming in. So that was all exciting. Part of me, though, I do think that this promo, this long 5-hour drawn out thing, it really is perfect for the multiverse saga, because what is the multiverse saga if not this long, drawn-out, boring thing? So I guess
Yeah, the announcement took longer than all the phases combined, it felt like. I'm also I'm super on edge anyways, because the owners of the store are going to come visit me and Doug later, so we're a little bit teetering on the edge because of that. You know, I know we're going to find out what happens, but some of these, we very much expected. Like, we're starting off with Chris Hemsworth was a nice surprise. Yeah. I thought he could be in it, but he's also, because of his medical condition, he's got a limited amount of films he's going to do. I thought maybe he wouldn't want to do another Avengers movie. So that's really fun. Then we got the Fantastic Four, again, who we all expected. Now, I'm not going to go through, everybody individually, but I'm going to just touch on some high points here. We did get what I think is a lineup of the Avengers, kind of, right? Thor, Captain America, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Namor, awesome, Shang-Chi, and then M'Baku's in there, but I think he's going to be in more as like King of Wakanda. There are some names I thought we would see that we didn't. What do you guys think of this lineup? And, Brianna, is there anybody you think is missing from that Avengers lineup?
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. I wanted Wanda. I love Wanda. I'm not surprised.
She says she's not in it.
I know, and honestly, I want her back really bad, and I see so many ways they can put her in. I am kind of skeptical if Elizabeth Olsen's going to do it again, because she's just been doing all these really cool indie films that are great, and I just don't know if this is her taste anymore. I'm surprised Doctor Strange isn't in it. I knew he wouldn't be maybe like an Avenger, but I thought he would be in the cast at some point.
Well, I kind of wonder, too, if we're looking at like an Ant-Man Hawkeye situation where there just wasn't room for them in Infinity War, but then they showed up in Secret
same
Wars.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems likely to me.
Because Cumberbatch originally said, I'm not in it, then he was like, oh, wait, no, I am, which makes me think that he'll be in it.
Yeah.
It is weird. We had a video a couple weeks ago. We talked about the 2 Marvel movies that haven't been announced yet, one of which is probably not happening. It's in like a year from, it's 10 months from now. The other is in like November between the movies, so that could be something. Colton, what about you? Is there anybody in this? What are your thoughts on this lineup? Anybody who's missing, or anybody you think they should have kept out?
I think this lineup showed us one thing, is that I think it's going to be very similar. That Doomsday and Secret Wars, I think they're going to have a similar like laying out like Infinity War and Endgame did. I think that we're going to see like our different groups of heroes. Like in Infinity War, we had our heroes on Titan, we had our heroes in Wakanda. So I would assume like M'Baku and Namor and all of them will be together, and we'll be kind of jumping back and forth between these different things that are happening with Doom invading. I'm hoping that we can have more characters in the movie that maybe they just aren't showing us. Like, I don't know why all of the Thunderbolts are in here. I almost wonder if that's like a little bit of a tease for the Thunderbolts movie, because I honestly think that some of them are going to die in that movie. A big one that was missing.
Well, Taskmaster didn't make the cut.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's just some...
And I know Brianna's got thoughts on the Thunderbolts I want to hear in just a second, but sorry, Colton, I cut you off.
There's just some names that are missing that it's almost weird that they're not there. Like, why isn't Spider-Man there? That's really odd that Spider-Man's not in the lineup.
I think Secret Wars.
Yeah,
I definitely think that they're, because his Spider-Man film is also coming out after Doomsday to set up Secret Wars. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I think it's possible that Spider-Man isn't in it and he's going to be in Secret Wars, because at the end of the last Spider-Man movie, they made everyone forget him. So Doom couldn't get him. Like, literally didn't know who Spider-Man was, could not figure out who it was. And so then he has to come, like, he'll swing in at the end or something and be like, oh God, I have to go, like, figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, he could just not. He's just like, if you think about him, he wasn't on the list, but neither was the Punisher, neither was Daredevil. Spider-Man could just be relegated to that street level, kind of hero. Now, there are rumors that his movie's going to, it'll be multiverse and on Battle World and all this stuff. So we'll see. Sorry.
I feel conflicted, because part of me is like, this is too many characters. But then the other half of me is like, well, why weren't these 7 in it? So I feel conflicted about that.
I would swap out Joaquin Torres for She-Hulk. One, there's only 5 women on this list, but also, but Joaquin Torres, I'm like, okay, I like him, he's cool, but he can fly and stuff, and so can Captain America. So the powers are redundant, and I really like She-Hulk, and I think you need a smashy person. You need a Hulk on the team. Brianna, what do you think?
I mean, I completely agree about She-Hulk. I really wanted to see her, and I think it's really sad that her show didn't do better, because I think She-Hulk as a character, even in the show, was pretty great. I do have a theory about the Thunderbolts and why they're all there, which relates to the void that we actually see in the trailer. That's because Sentry's also there, and
the character of the Void.
Yeah, the character of the Void.
The villain.
Yeah, the villain. Also is kind of Sentry, according to the trailer. Both. But Sentry's also there. And we see them go into this big mystical void, and we don't really know exactly what's going to happen in that void. Obviously, that's been like very obfuscated. So my guess is that somehow during their fight with Sentry in the void, that ends them in Battle World, and that's why they're all there. And I think everyone on Earth is going to think they're dead, and I think that's going to be the tie-in.
And I wonder how that's going to tie into like the Asterix, if that's going to be involved in their potential death.
Well, I was almost wondering with, the Thunderbolts having the Asterix and it being the final film of Phase 5, I was like half expecting them to be like, oh, plot twist, all of those Thunderbolt trailers. Those are just the Thunderbolt scenes from a secret Avengers movie that we're actually going to drop, like Avengers versus X-Men or something. And we should also talk about, there's a shit ton of X-Men in this cast.
Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to talk about the X-Men in this movie. That was a big surprise.
I do want to add, like, She-Hulk, yeah, weird that she's not there. So many characters, it's weird they're not there. Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds. But I guess if the cast is so freaking big, I guess it makes sense to maybe think that Secret Wars will bring in all of those missing characters, and maybe some of the characters that are getting to be in this movie, like, say, the Thunderbolts, won't be in Secret Wars. Because, I mean, there does come a point where 50 characters, that's a little much. Like, do we have a count? How many chairs were there? Did we count?
23, I think. 23.
That's a
I think.
lot.
Yeah, and considering there were like 12 and a half minutes between each one, we timed it. I want to shout out the fans, though. There's a lot of fans on the YouTube who recognized every theme immediately. Yeah. I didn't realize how little I knew about superhero themes. I kept thinking they were all Doctor Strange. Like every single one of them, except for like the Loki theme and really obvious ones like that, and the X-Men stuff. But even then, they didn't really use the X-Men theme. They used the X-Men 97 theme, which tells you a lot about how those original movies were scored. All right, the Thunderbolts, I think everybody I know is pretty hyped about it. When we go to our live shows, I always ask the crowd, like leading up to Captain America, who's excited for Captain America? I got a little, oh, Captain America's coming out, was the general sense. Nobody seemed to be too hyped for Doom. Everybody's excited about Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four because, well, it's something new. Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts were actually getting a team-up movie. Colton, you talked earlier about how you think that we've got, like Infinity War, they were in Titan, they were in different places. We're definitely going to see that, and I think that explains the varied cast.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of people, but stack this up against, say, Infinity War, where you had 3 different groups operating that eventually kind of converged with each other. I think this looks similar to that. I mean, we've got around the same number of characters, 4 teams, essentially, plus Loki, plus Doom, you know?
Well, you know, I'm always hesitant. Like, even just a second ago when I said it seems like it's too much, I had the same thought at the end of Age of Ultron when they introduced that new team of Avengers. I was like, oh, team's getting a little big. How are they going to do it? And then, yeah, Infinity War and Endgame, they handled it perfect, having that many characters. So, yeah, I think that they'll be able to swing it. And yeah, I do think, like, to Brianna's theory, maybe the Thunderbolts will be, like, in the Void. That'll be where they are. And then, like I said, we'll have Wakanda. We'll have some stuff happening, like, maybe in New York. So, yeah, I do think there's a way to jump back and forth and maybe more so have the main characters of the film be the ensemble casts. Like, one of the main characters is the New York Avengers. One of the main characters is what's happening in Wakanda. That's kind of what Infinity War did. So, yeah, I think that's a direction they could take it.
Well, yeah, like, you know, Brianna, like in Infinity War, we didn't get character development from Drax or Mantis. We didn't need it, but they were still there. They were able to contribute. They were funny. Go ahead.
I agree with Colton. I think the hardest thing they will have to pull off really is the X-Men, because this is probably going to be our, like, first MCU introduction to these characters. And I think you kind of did run into the problem in the newest Captain America, where, like, people didn't remember Hulk that well. And, like, I do like the X-Men movies, but I also grew up on them. Like, I watched them when I was, like, 6. And that last one does not hold up. So I'm a little bit worried about them trying to, like, do that as potentially their first real introduction to the MCU in a movie that's already so patched. I still think they could, like, handle it, but that's actually my biggest fear. You know, it's just that they're not going to have time. I mean, we already kind of know them, but we don't totally know them. Especially, like, younger fans don't totally know them.
I think that's why it was so smart that we're getting, obviously, like, an X2 cast, which, you know, those original X-Men films Kevin Feige worked on, so that's nice to see these two things he created coming together. And I think we might be underestimating how many people have seen those X-Men movies. I mean, yeah, they're 20 years old, but they've also been around for 20 years. Like, I think a lot of people, you know, regardless of your age, have stopped and watched those movies. They know Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They know Professor X. They know this cast. So I think bringing in this already established team of X-Men, not only does that work with the multiversal aspect, but it also saves us from having to, like, I would hate if our MCU version of the X-Men, like the reboot X-Men, were getting thrown into this. I think that would, you know, kneecap their introduction. I don't want that until, like, the reboot. I think having these already established X-Men is the way to go.
Well, guys, this is the reason we're doing the multiverse saga. I've said this for a long time, that whenever they bought Fox, I think Kevin Feige said, "I want to honor those movies that gave Marvel its start." Really, I mean, no shade to Blade, but if it weren't for X-Men, we wouldn't be talking right now, or the Raimi Spider-Man. So I think that this was always the plan, and specifically using the group from X2 makes so much sense, because at the end of Days of the Future Past, we see that Logan reset the timeline, so Jean and Scott and Professor X are all still alive. But it's in that universe before Logan takes place. And if we're going to get into the whole like Deadpool, Logan, all that, it's way too confusing,
I want to
right?
see my girl Famke
But
Janssen.
we're hitting a sweet spot there. Yeah, where is she? And Halle Berry, too.
I know. I want to see Famke Janssen and Halle Berry. I love Jean Grey, and I kept waiting for that, and like I am happy about Gambit, but like, because I think it's gonna be funny. But I think he's gonna be our like comedic relief character. But also like Jean Grey.
Maybe not. He might get something to do in this. I know. The Phoenix. Maybe that's why she's not in it, actually. Because if you start bringing the Phoenix into this situation, it's like Chekhov's gun. It's like Chekhov's cosmic space entity. Yeah, just to remind all you guys what this means, what Colton's talking about. The 2015 Secret Wars was about like every universe is like fighting each other, and then it comes down to two universes. The Ultimate Universe with Miles Morales, and then like the 616 Illuminati Avengers universe. Except now we're going to have these Avengers from the 616 versus that, I don't know the universe number off the top of my head, against whatever Fox X-Men universe that is. It's the best way to do it because it is the only other like established team that we all know, and frankly, X3 was such a bummer of an ending, and Days of the Future Past gave us some hope, but okay, Kelsey Grammer Beast we saw coming because it was in the Marvels, right? Mm-hmm. But when they put Nightcrawler up there, when Alan Cumming from The Traitors, Alan Cumming, Broadway's Alan Cumming, coming back to this role 20 years later that he hated because of the makeup, even if he's just on screen, says one line and dies. That's huge for them.
It's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be great, and I think that what it's going to be is that we're going to see the universe from the Marvels, specifically the one that we saw Monica Rambeau in, collide with this Avengers team. But I think it'll be that universe, because that universe we have Beast. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a return of Monica Rambeau. I'm really hoping so, because I just liked her character, and I feel like the Marvels, like I like
At the very least binary. Why? It's weird that she's stranded in that universe, but then not. Maybe she is in this movie. They're not billing her. I don't know.
Monica will be the one in the middle trying to say, "Can we please not fight? Can we work together?" So I'm excited for that.
What she does best. But Binary is also an incredibly powerful character who would play a big role in this. Go ahead.
I also just love that Kevin Feige was given this giant box of action figures that he didn't have before, and he's like just dumping them all on the floor, and he's going to play with them. Like, that's what I would do. So I think we're in store for a pretty fun movie.
Yeah, and Brianna, you mentioned Channing Tatum Gambit, and I know in Deadpool and Wolverine he was treated as a joke character, but I mean, Gambit's got some layers to him. I think he isn't just interested in coming along and making dick jokes. I think I could see him actually being a character in this. But how is Jean not in this? I mean, this continues to be strange for me. Who else is a glaring omission for you guys that you're like, really? They're not going to be in this? If you could pick one person to be in it, not Wanda.
One person. Was that targeted at Brianna?
Yeah, it definitely was. It was me.
Because I knew her answer.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it probably would be Wolverine. Like, that is the one I want. I'm sorry. I want Jean more, but you bring up a great problem with the Phoenix Force, and actually is also a big problem with Wanda. Like, how do you deal with a character that is so powerful? We didn't get Captain Marvel either. So I just think they were probably doing something where they keep a lot of the really strong character, like, really strong, relatively. The characters that are
and
like
no Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, no cosmic characters really.
I mean,
Silver Surfer, for example.
To quote Negasonic Teenage Warhead, they really have themselves in a box here. Like, there are so many characters that if you think about it, why aren't they in it? Like, you could say that for all of them. Like, where's Star-Lord? Where's, all these various characters? Captain Marvel, like you said, Miss Marvel. All of them, like, what they have set up is they belong in this movie, but they've just introduced so many damn characters, and they're bringing back in all of the X-Men. It does get crowded at a point. Brownie, you took my Wolverine answer, so I guess I'll go with Deadpool. I'm really excited to see him in an Avengers movie. So Yeah, that would be my answer.
I think
but
Moon Knight would have been a fun addition.
I don't
I
care
really
about Moon
would have
Knight.
liked to have seen how somebody with the ID would have like functioned within this. But speaking of crossovers and all the fun involved with that, so what we really love about these movies are getting to see moments like, you know, Thor, like Steve Rogers meeting Groot and stuff like that. Of all of this, there's some great characters here from the comics who have history in the comics who've never really met in person. In the movies. So, Brianna, is there anybody that you're like super pumped to see interact or any kind of crossover event that we're going to have?
Honestly, the idea of Yelena and Mystique meeting, that seems really fun to me. I just think they would be like really quippy with each other. I also do like the idea of M'Baku and Magneto. I just don't know why. I just think it would be funny. Like, I have no like, I think this would happen. I just think it would be funny. They seem like such opposite ends of the spectrum to me, where Magneto would be like, oh yeah, he's a strong guy, and then M'Baku starts talking, he's like, we're all vegetarians. Like, I just think it would be really fun. So I think those are my two I'm looking forward to. In the comics, Namor and Sue, I want to see how they're going to do that. I know.
Yeah, that, you took mine. That was, I've been rereading Fantastic Four right now, and let's just say in those early issues, it gets pretty spicy pretty fast. She's got Reed, this like kind of stuffed shirt dude, then she's got this roguish mutant from the ocean who never wears a shirt. And she's all over him in those early comics. I wonder if they're even going to pay a nod to that. That was mine, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe do it more in, like, and this is very separate world, but in the way that they have their relationship in Rivals, which in the video game Rivals, because all of their interactions in Rivals are so funny. It is constantly him coming onto her and her just rebuking him. And
well, she's married now. I'm talking like before she and Reed were together. It was a love triangle.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just wondering if that's maybe what
yeah.
they're gonna do in the more of that kind of relationship, since they are already married.
Oh yeah, more like Giant. What's his name? Giant Spain from Game of Thrones with Brianna Tarth.
Yes.
Yeah, Colton. What about you? Who are you excited to see interact together?
I would like to see Patrick Stewart, Pedro Pascal, and Robert Downey Jr. interact together. As an Illuminati fan, I think it's going to be cool seeing their characters together. These three huge brains, you know, discussing like the morality of what's happening. And like you mentioned, that maybe Reed will be in a situation where his universe has died. Professor X will be in a situation where his universe is about to die and he's trying to save all of them. And then you've got Doom, who's like, no, it's every man for himself. And like seeing that like intellectual discussion, but also like on a moral barometer type thing, like in seeing these three big brains go back and forth, I think that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. And even throwing Magneto into that too, like you have three traditional villains from Marvel Comics: Loki, Doom, and Magneto. I mean, I'm sure Magneto is going to be on the side of the X-Men, like we saw in Days of the Future Past. But I don't know, man. Like there's so much that they can do with just this lineup, and they don't even really. At first, it seems like a lot of characters, and I was poo-pooing it. I was like, how can they possibly give anybody character development? Like going into Infinity War, you knew that Tony wanted to put a suit of armor around the world. You knew that he and Steve had problems. The Avengers had broken. There was a lot of like character backstory to carry into that. In this movie, I mean, I guess what I'm getting to, and this is my final thought here, is it going to be good?
Well, you have to remember, go back to like the TV format, the way you do a TV series. There's usually not a shit ton of character development in the finale. And that's how I view these Avengers movies, these saga cappers. All the character development is done in the other films leading up to it. And then that Avengers movie is where you get all of the payoff. Granted, we've got a lot of build-up. I mean, like 20 years worth of build-up for this one. So I don't know. Maybe their plan is to market the hell out of Disney Plus and tell everybody, oh, you better watch everything. You better get your subscription now before Doomsday. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it's going to be good. I know Kevin Feige has been stretched thin. I think part of that might be because he's been putting every bit of focus he has on these two movies. And the Russo brothers have never made a bad Marvel movie. They've made some bad movies, but never a bad Marvel movie. So I'm excited and optimistic.
Brianna, what do you think? Are we going to get a good movie here?
I think it will be completely determined by how well they do Downey Doom. And that's honestly, this entire time with this movie, what has been most concerning for me. Because if they do it well, we'll probably get a good movie. But if they do it badly, there's no way it's a good movie. in my opinion. And so I think with that cast, how it, like, all of the teams, it looks like it has a lot of potential to be a really good movie, and I really hope it is, but I really think it just comes down to Downey Doom and how that works out.
I couldn't agree more. It's like everything does hinge on it then.
I mean,
Right.
we know he's going to give a hell of a performance, so I think.
Oh, he's a great actor. He's going to do great. I'm not worried about that. I mean, Brie Larson's an Oscar winner, and I think Marvel still failed, right? Like, I'm talking more about the writing. They just need to write it really, really, really well.
All right, I'm going to have to leave it there for you guys. Thank you very much for joining me.
Person, they're here. The store owners are here.
Store owners. They're much more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. Oh, yeah, sorry. Doug, I saw the store owners. It's all so clear.
Sometimes my arms bend back.
Wait, they're
Person,
what?
wake up! Wake up!
Oh, Doug, I saw them. I saw the store owners. I know. Now I understand everything about what we're doing here in the store.
Wow, what is it?
You know what? I forgot. You want to watch TV?
Yeah, man. But you better trim up. The owners are coming later.
What? But let me know what you guys think of this casting down in the comments below at any of our socials or on our free-to-join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.